For those of you just joining me, what I've got on the desk here tonight, on the bench anyway, is a Twin Famicom. And the Twin Famicom is a combination of the family computer, the Japanese family computer, and here's the lid, Japanese family computer and the Famicom disk system. So let's start at the beginning. The family computer, the Japanese family computer, was the original Nintendo console. Came out in Japan in the early 80s. I think it was 1982, 80, maybe 84. Anyway, the games and the system are virtually identical to the Nintendo Entertainment System that came out in North America in 85, 86. Uh, it was hugely popular for a couple of years in Japan before it came over to the US. And in an early iteration of the system was the Famicom disk system, which allowed the original cartridges to be expanded into whole disks. I don't know the exact size, but if an original cartridge was 40 kilobytes, then the Famicom disk system allowed hundreds of megabytes, or hundreds of kilobytes, not megabytes, to be loaded into the system and expand the world of gaming. By the time the system came to the US, the disk system was never released here because they had figured out ways to pack more into the cartridges with what they call mappers. And so ultimately, the Famicom disk system was something that never left Japan, the Japanese domestic market. However, in the Japanese domestic market, the company Sharp and Nintendo collaborated, and I don't know all of the details. I think it was a market failure, but the Famicom disk system and Famicom the original Famicom console, they were sold separately. So originally you had the cartridge unit, and then you had this sidecar disc system that came in, and you had a special cartridge that was connected to the disc, and it plugged into your Famicom. So let me grab a Famicom so you can see what that looks like. It's right over here is my original Famicom unit. So let's take a look at this. This one I picked up not too long ago. Let's go back to the desk here. Yes, if you'll take a look at this is an original Famicom. And when you added the disk system to this, what you would do was plug a cartridge into the top that connected by tether to the disk system. And that let you use disks with it. Well, Sharp and Nintendo got together and they created this thing called the Twin Famicom. Twin meaning it's got the disk system on one side and it's got the Famicom on the other side, and you don't need a janky cartridge with an umbilical cord on it. The idea was that you could actually create this, that you wouldn't have to create your own. You would have an integrated system that did both. So pretty cool. Let me see. Got a couple people who've just joined us, so welcome to the live stream. I'm just kind of messing around with this. I don't really have a program plan tonight. I figured I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see what it does, what kind of shape it's in. It came to me kind of all pulled apart, and there's two of them. There's another one here. Both look to be like someone had gotten into them, right? There's some kind of solenoid here. Is that a solenoid or just a sensor? Not sure in the lid. But they were all pulled apart. And before the live stream started, I just kind of went through and tried to figure out, what do these wiring harnesses do and how do they work? So I got it kind of put back together again. I want to test it out and see, what kind of shape they're in. Do they work? The controllers for the Famicom and then clearly for the Twin Famicom were wired, hardwired, and they weren't removable. So somehow these exit the system toward the back. And let's see, so this, I see that goes there. So that could be why it's not working too. But let's put it together and see what happens. Now, this one, this unit runs on 7.5 volts, and I have this power supply here. I kind of like it. It's not quite like an industrial bench power supply, but it does have these numbers here. Let's see what you can see. Yeah, it does have these. Let me zoom in a little. You can see it has these numbers, and you can adjust. You can adjust the voltage. This one goes up to 12, just above 12. Then you can go down. Whoo, you can go down low. It's kind of a weird voltage, 7.5 volts. If you're ever messing around with early Japanese consoles prior to this vintage, I don't know what year the Twin Famicom came out, but my original Famicom, um, this guy uses negative, a negative tip. Let's see. It's not focusing. There it is. A negative tip, negative center pin, which is a bit unusual, and you don't want to plug something in wrong. So I checked online before I even brought this to the bench, and I found out that this runs on a regular positive tip, but it's still 7.5 volts. I'm going to use my variable power supply here to check it out. This one looks like it's been pieced apart a little bit. See if there's any comments in the chat. Doesn't look like it. This one's been pieced apart a little bit. The other one is in a little more complete shape. In that it's got this little mechanism here for ejecting, and that still works and stuff. So let's start with this one and just see what kind of shape it's in, if it works. I've got all the screws for it as well. So someone was in here. I don't know if it wasn't working or they were gonna maybe put it in a different case or something. I've got the song of this game stuck in my head. All right, so that's on. I'm gonna plug my monitor in, and I don't know if you guys can see this. Here we go. I'll put the camera on the screen. Woo! Screen for you so you can see what is going on. Too much reflection, but so we're at 7.5 volts. Let's go. Happy disk. 7.5 volts. This one is not center tip, so I don't need to use my little this power supply comes with a little converter here. And the way this works, we've got a wire in the frame here. The way this works is you plug it in and it makes the tip negative. So kind of nice that you can quickly reverse the polarity, but we don't need that right now. We're going to do positive tip, and we will see if we can get a game loaded here. Let's try it. Yeah, awesome. So nice. You might be able to hear it. So the cartridge games load. That's good. I don't have any Famicom disk games yet, but let's just see if it even tries to like read from the disk drive so we know what we're in for here. This is the little connector that I think we have to figure out where it goes. It's kind of in the back here. Oh, well, we're gonna have to take the game out. Let's pull the power so we're sure. Oh, that electronics fool just wrote in the chat. Hey Levi, I wonder if they made it 7.5 volts for powering the motors, and because that's about the minimum voltage input for those linear 5-volt regulators, the regulators line, the 7805. It could be, yeah. I think I saw something online that said you could feed it with up to 12 volts. It would just run hotter. So maybe that was it. They were just running it at minimum voltage, and 7.5 was the minimum. Um, I don't know. I want to look into that more. I did pick up a permanent 7.5 volt power supply on Amazon for a few bucks. I figured let's just try that, you know. So maybe I'll make a video. Maybe I'll make a video about this if we can get it running. And I'd be interested to know, you know, kind of more of the history of this thing, why it was a failure. I'm sure there's probably other videos about it, but I'd like to kind of do my own take on it. It's kind of a fun way to learn about this stuff. So, all right, so the power is disconnected, and this little switch here, I think, I don't read Japanese, but just based on the way this interlock works. So if you see on the bottom here, it's got these little dust doors, right? And they actually prevent a cartridge from being inserted when this switch is up, which is a little counterintuitive because you would think up pointed toward the cartridge turns the cartridge on, but actually that engages the interlock. So down is disk system, up is cartridge. And it's kind of like two different consoles. I mean, the code is all the same, but you know, the Famicom disk system and the Famicom cartridge system were, yeah, kind of two different animals, and they can only run in one mode, and you can't run it in disk mode with a cartridge in. Um, so that's why it prevents you from having a cartridge inserted to activate disk mode. So I need to figure out, there's this interlock or this sensor, and we need to figure out where this connects to the motherboard, which I don't see. I don't see anywhere obvious where this would connect, but let's try powering it on. I'll put the picture in picture back on. Let's try powering it on. Okay, so that is down is cartridge, and we tried that. Let's go up. Up is disk system. Oh, we don't have the power. Let's put the power back on. Up is blocks the cartridge, so it's disk system. Okay, please set disk. Now loading, and then it says battery error 02. So I don't have a disk to test, but it's not even trying to read the drive or anything. So I'm thinking that I'm thinking that this needs to be connected in order for it to work, which is why I'd like to know where that goes before I go any further. I'm going to put my excuse my head in frame, but I need to kind of get in here and see if I'm missing anything. So this is the light. This is the disk access light. There's some writing on the front panel here. And I don't read Japanese, but Google Lens does. And it said that this is power, this is reset. This says it's like it's a disk activity light. Basically, it says don't don't try to remove the disk while this light is on. So thanks for that tip. And then this is an eject button, obviously. So yeah, where I want to figure out this interlock because I think that's preventing the the disk system from booting. I don't see any other, I don't see any other headers for this to connect to. I did a live stream about, I don't know, 6 weeks ago where I was cleaning up an Apple IIc computer, and it took me 45 minutes to get the case open because I was missing a screw. And I just couldn't see it. And there's something about these live streams where I get a blind spot for something obvious when the clock is on, you know? So like, where is this thing? Pull this down a little bit. Um, Boy, there has there has got to be a header for this, and I'm just missing it. Looking over here. Let's look at the other board. There's a couple pieces on this board that may be blocking it. So let's look at the other board and see if we see it. Oh yeah, I thought there was. So on this board, it's two different. On this board, there's a little header pin, and on this one, there is not. It's been removed. Let's try powering up this one then. Um, the issue with this one is that there's no cables connected to the disk unit itself, so we'll have to make up the cables, and then maybe I can find this header. But someone's obviously been in here and removed that. Maybe they desoldered it. I don't know. I have a little parts bin here, and I didn't see anything like that in there. No, no, I don't see it. But we're definitely missing. We're definitely missing the little header. So, all right. The Twin Famicom has these ports on the bottom, and I came across this with the other unit. Um, they connect to the motherboard and go out the bottom. I'm not going to worry about those. I think they're just for expansion, some other kind of device. So we don't need, see these here have these little, yeah, they have these little bulkhead clips. And so we can put that aside because we don't need that bulkhead clip. And then someone had connected all these together, and they do fit, but that's not how they go. Um, and this is the other one. It has a little bulkhead connector. So we're going to put the two bulkhead connectors aside and just go with, hmm, so this, yeah, the way this works is this connector goes here. That bulkhead connector goes to the case, but you don't need that. connected to anything to work. This has a number 1. And yeah, there's a number 1 here. So let's try putting those together and make sure that the pins are properly lined up. So yeah, this would normally be here, but I'm not going to worry about connecting all that right now. And then there's another connection that goes from here. Where does that go? That goes out to the bulkhead too? No. How does that work? What do these do? These are identical. This is the other bulkhead connector. We don't need that. Yeah, this is the thing. I don't know what these go to. Ooh, perhaps these live underneath here and connect these two together. I bet that's what they do. I bet these two things go here. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's just take this. Yeah, that's how this goes. So it's some kind of like interrupt or something on the bottom this way. These two connect like that, and then this crazy. Okay. So then this comes up here, and then this has a keystone and would plug into here. Yeah, and so this little loop sits on the bottom if you want to get into it, but we don't need that for testing, so we don't have to worry about routing it outside. Okay, good. So that is connected. We'll put the, I'm gonna put the screen back up for you. Check our voltage, 7.58, that's fine. Okay. Please set disk. Please set disk card. That's what they called them. Okay. Let's see if placing this makes it try to access the disk or not. No, but we're getting warmer. So the other thing to try is the other lid. We have 2 of everything, so let's see if the other lid does anything differently. Well, the other lid doesn't have that little activator. So now I'm wondering, let me look at these side by side. Yeah, no, it doesn't even have the space for that little activator. So maybe it's not needed, and this one goes to the motherboard without it, and this one goes to the motherboard with. So we have two different versions of the same thing. So they're both part AN 500R. It says that here. AN 500R. But they are clearly different. So, okay. Well, we're warmer. We're getting warmer. I did order a couple Famicom disk system disks to test in these. So we'll see. Maybe they don't need anything. Just to kind of give this a once over. I noticed this port on the side here. And it kind of looks like, is that like an N64 or a Wii RGB connector? So maybe we should do some searching online and just see what we can learn about this thing. I'm going to pull up the computer here and let's see. I'm going to bring this up on the screen if I can. Displays. Yeah, there we go. Stand by a second. Still working the kinks out of all of this. Yeah, can you see that? I think you can. Yeah. Okay. Focus, do not disturb is on. Chat there. So now let's look up. Oh, that's not right. How do we get into this? Famicom disk system. Let's see. Start with Wikipedia. We want Twin Famicom. It's Twin Famicom. Sharp Twin Famicom. 1986, Nintendo released the Famicom Disk System. The Twin Famicom is made by Sharp, officially licensed by Nintendo. It combines the Famicom and Famicom Disk Systems into one console. There were 3 models. This is my favorite one. What are they saying is their favorite? Oh, the orange one. Interesting. Launched at the same time. They had an opposite color scheme. Black with red highlights. Okay, on the console's left side are 2 expansion ports. Port A on the left, I'll make this bigger for you, is for all manner of accessories, light guns, 3D glasses, arcade controllers, four-player adapters. Yeah, so that's the same as that's on the front of the, let's see, I can bring this up for you. If you look, that's this connector here, and that's the same connector that's on the front of the original Famicom here. That's the same as on the front of the original Famicom. So that makes sense, and that lets you access the pins for like the light guns, and you can actually put in an adapter and put two more Nintendo NES controllers on it. And you've got four controllers, although I think they mirror players 1 and 2. Expansion port is a side cover, which is open. It's said that in many reference manuals, this port is for the Famicom RAM adapter, which you need to hook in order to hook up the add-on Famicom disk system FDS to a standard Famicom, but that's not correct. The best I can tell, this port was never used. Okay, so maybe that port that looks like a AV port was never used. There's a black cover in the upper left. This conceals expansion ports C and D. Inside here are just the ports that the FDS connects to. This way, if you have a standalone Famicom, you remove the cover, unplug the stuff inside, and connect your regular Famicom to the Twin and run disc games. I don't think that's what Sharp had in mind. My guess is they were just making assembly and support as easy as possible. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, there's that expansion. Yeah, this way, if you have a standalone Famicom, you remove the cover, unplug the stuff inside, and connect your regular Famicom to the Twin Famicom. So those ports need to be connected together, which is a little weird, but, you know, hey, what are you going to do? Oh, doo-doo. There's not much else that we can do tonight, I don't think. We test both of them. Let's just fire them both up, make sure that they're both working with, whoa, make sure they're both working with cartridges anyway. And then when I get some disk system disks, okay, this is what I saw on this one before. When you put it in disk system mode, you get this weird, characters on the screen. So this one maybe corrupted, I don't know. Or it could be because I've got this in here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's what happens when you load this. You're not supposed to have a cartridge in when you load the disk system. So we were getting errors on the screen, but when you don't do that, you get, yeah, battery error 2. Battery error 2. So about the one thing I know about the Famicom disk system is that it ran on batteries. So I wonder if battery error 02 means something like it wasn't able to find the disk because of no power to it. So let's put battery error 2 into a search and see. Let's see what that brings up, because that could be the key to something here. Whoa. displays, display 2, battery error 2, Famicom. Yeah. Most in-game error messages loading are often displayed as errors, their number with the numbers being designated for the number of the type of error. Most common ones are error 2, the disk system's batteries being low on power with no batteries put in altogether. Battery error 2, let's put in Twin Famicom and see what comes up. So yeah, they agree that it has something to do with power to the disk unit itself. Battery error 2. Mm-hmm. 2. It's strange that you don't hear any noise or anything from these when you turn it on. Battery error 2. And they both do it. The same error on both. So, all right, we didn't quite finish our. Let's finish our testing here. Power is plugged in. Okay, so this works in that it boots, but then, and then the game comes up. Okay, so the system is working. It's just a matter of why isn't it recognizing that this is here? So let's do the same with the other one and just see if this unit behaves exactly the same. Number, we'll call this number 2. Okay, same thing. Just test it. Here's the disk system. And this one says, please set disk card. Doesn't say battery error 2. Huh. The other one did say battery error 2, didn't it? When you first brought it on? Let's try it again. Yeah, it says battery, excuse me, Nintendo now loading, and then it will give us the battery error again, I think. Yeah, battery error 02. Let's try it again. Now loading. So it's doing something here. And then when I hit reset, I'm pressing reset. You can't see it, but I'm pressing reset on the front, and it says Reset disk card now loading. Battery error too. All right, let's see if we can get the other unit to give us that battery error too. Maybe a voltage thing. May have low voltage. We'll check all the voltages too. Yeah, it doesn't. Now, what happens if we take this out and we remove the drive and we start it up? Same thing. It doesn't seem to know whether or not this drive is in place or not. What happens if Okay. One more test. Plays that intro music, but I don't remember the other one playing that intro music. Is it different? It just goes did it now loading. And it doesn't come down the screen. So it's like different firmware on these two different units as well. So there's two differences I've noticed between them. One is that this doesn't have the little header pin to attach this, and it also has a slightly different disk system loading screen. And it has a tendency to go to this battery error. Battery error. Okay. Let's go back to the other one. Just play with it a bit. I do have a controller connected, but I feel like that shouldn't make a difference. Maybe it does. Should we try connecting this controller to the other unit? Seeing if we get an error? It's worth a try. It's the only other difference between the two. I don't think that's going to change anything. No. Reset disk card. Oh, there's no difference with the controller plugged in. Yeah. The other thing I was wondering today is, let's just make sure 1 and 1, yeah. I was wondering today is, does this use regular 3.5-inch discs or not? I don't think it does. I think it uses a proprietary format. But I've seen them in person. I've seen Famicom Disk System discs, but I haven't really examined them all that well. So if nothing else, we have a working cartridge unit. It'd be nice to see if these discs, if we could get the discs working. Hmm. I need to kind of think on this for a minute. Well, at least we know we have two good working units to play with, and then maybe I'll do more with the video once I get the discs and I can play with them and test the units out. The other thing that came in this package is this. There's a belt for the disk drive, presumably. And then I've got, oh, it's a NES RGB. It's an RGB mod. So someone was considering doing an RGB mod for this. Well, that's cool. Maybe we'll RGB mod it if we get it working, whichever one we get working. Those are nice. I did that to my Famicom, and it actually weirdly uses a Sega Saturn connector. So you take out the RF modulator. The thing about these the Famicoms was that they only had RF out, and they only had RF on a Japanese TV channel. So in the US, you had to tune your TV to cable channel 97, 98, 99, something like that. Super inconvenient, terrible quality, like horrendous quality, a worse RF modulator than was in my NES. So I I know for a fact that um, that's an improvement. However, the Twin Famicom and then later the AV Famicom, they added composite audio and video, so that's good. Um, it's not super as necessary with these to do the mod because it actually looks halfway decent. So let's see what's in here. I'm gonna put my camera back. Does that look? Can you see me? It's kind of high. There we go. I got to figure this like setup out because it's not really great for ergonomics. My monitor is behind me. I'd like to have a preview monitor up here. Yeah, that'd be better. Um, anyway, let's see what's in this. See what's in this bag. So we have a bulkhead connector for a DIN, and then there's a couple different it looks like it has different types of DIN connectors that you could use with this to get video out. Gosh, I don't know. Is this like specifically designed for is this specifically designed for the Twin Famicom, or is this just a generic NES Famicom kit? That's what I'd have to find out too. I don't see any instructions. Like I said, it's not like critical to get this done. With the Famicom, you want to do it because you get terrible image quality, but with this, you saw it. It looks pretty good. So we won't like rush to do that. But all these screws. Oh, this ribbon cable, I bet goes to, yeah, this is how you do this goes with this. This is how you get the signal wires from the RGB mod to the panel. So, yeah, and then this says RF on the back here. So I wonder if you repurpose the RF port on the back to do RGB. I definitely would want to read about it before I just dived in. Pretty cool. Well, probably cut the stream off here unless anybody has any comments. But look for a future video about the Twin Famicom and I probably won't do another live stream on it. I'll probably think about what kind of mods I want to do and then put together like a packaged video. So anyway, thanks for joining me tonight, and I hope you'll find your way back here for the next digital voyage.